So tonight we are going to be doing an extended meditation, 45 minutes. Normally we don't exceed 25, which is pretty standard for our Zen sitting, and is still a stretch for a lot of people who will hit 15 to 25 minutes on their meditation. Uh, Part of the advantage of this, I'm going to get into in a reading I'm going to do. The extended meditation, things happen that don't happen in a short meditation. Your mind just doesn't have enough time to really settle in to that feeling of spaciousness. And I, in particular, picked a reading today that deals with spaciousness to try and encourage what that means. So if our nature is spaciousness, which I believe it is, spacious awareness, non-judgmental spacious awareness, that's our true nature, we don't really get time to settle into that and experience what that means. It just sits there at a conceptual level. Whereas when you really have time for what I call the re-entry, the jagged re-entry into spacious awareness, you're really kind of detoxing from all the dopamine of constant interruptions and being able to have things at our demand that we want to watch or that we want to do, which we think of as a benefit and asset. I mean, we've been taught, isn't it wonderful that we have all this? But as the reading I'm going to do to introduce says, it has not been a blessing. As a matter of fact, it's fragmented some very fundamental parts of our awareness that are essential to our sense of well-being in the world. So I'm going to revisit that in a moment. So as we sit, you're going to be balancing between alertness, and that alertness comes from the sympathetic nervous system, the fight or flight. You want just a little bit to keep you awake. You want to go into the parasympathetic nervous system to get the relaxation response. If you get too relaxed, you're going to fall asleep. If you don't stay alert, or if you get too alert, you're going to be chasing rabbits and everything's going to be a distraction. So as with everything else, there's no right way. It's learning to poise, learning how to make the adjustments. Now, you can control that some with your breathing. So you always hear me say, slow the exhale. Well, it's exactly the opposite if you're feeling sleepy. If you're feeling sleepy, you want to slow the inhale and a short exhale. And what that's going to do is activate the parts of the brain that keep you alert. So, for example, Bastrika breath. You do that 30 times, you're going to feel an exhilaration throughout your whole body. Slow inhale, quick exhale. So these are ways that we can adjust. Main thing, stay comfortable.
I don't recommend Bastrika breath in the middle of the meditation.
Oh, not in the middle of the meditation, but to give you an example of what it feels like to have your breath get you excited. Good point. So
yeah.
Drew.
You could cycle through, sitting on the edge of your chair, sitting up nice and tall, that clear, alert sort of vibe. And then if that gets overly much, you could shift ever so slightly to a little more comfortable seat. Or you could lie down, as Bart said, if you just got here. That's also an option.
Right.
For 45.
So again, the same way, you don't want your body to be a distraction. If you're in so much discomfort that you can't concentrate on the meditation, that's not a good thing either.
Then shift.
So shift and don't be afraid to do it. Just in the Zendo, you would try to move in a way that doesn't distract other people because you got a whole 2 rows of people sitting looking at you the whole time. So it's...
I'm already preparing myself that a seated cross-legged pose, which I typically do for a 20 to 25 minute meditation. I'm probably not going to be able to do that for 45 minutes. So I could either start out differently or I could shift midway and when I need to.
Yeah.
So
take care of yourself.
Yeah.
As I say, there there's no benefit to exerting effort. There's no benefit to enduring a lot of pain past a certain point. A little bit beyond your comfort level, and then you're done. You've got all the benefit. So I'm like one of those people, they say 20 minutes of vigorous exercise and you get an endorphin release. So I think, well, if I do 40 minutes, I'm going to get twice the endorphins. No, you're not. So get your 20 minutes and out. Acknowledge Val. Good to have you with us. It's been a minute, dear. So, and Val's the one who turned me on to these meditations. So I'm grateful for it. So Rupert is a British non-dualist, so it may take us a little while to get into his accent and feel his cadence. Each of the people who leads meditation has their own kind of cadence, but I really like the things that he does, and they really do get me to that place. So why are we doing this? And I'm going to reread something that I read a while back, but to do it again makes us mindful of why we're about this stuff. So let me find my. They had a guy in Bali who turned his phone off for 12 years. And then they interviewed him. And the scientist who interviewed him said the shocking part of the changes that went on in his brain wasn't his calmness, it was the return of deep time perception. Okay, I want you to hear that, deep time perception, a mental state most moderns almost never access. People think phones steal your attention, she said, but they actually steal your sense of continuity. All right. So when you begin to think about what's necessary for us to move from what the ancients called chronos. Chronos is mechanical time. It's the clock. It's divided up into parts. And that's universal around the world. It enables us to coordinate this meeting because we all have a similar device doing the same dividing. The opposite of that is process time, what the Greeks called a kairos. And that is, when is the baby going to come? When is the crop going to come? So this is process time. Process time involves us leaning back into awareness and being able to notice continuities and things that aren't available to us when it's cut up. So we used that analogy a while back of consciousness being like a film. And actually they say there are spaces in the way that we perceive the world, and that the mind patches it together and makes it continuous. Well, this is settling back into the part of the brain that can maintain that long-term sense of continuity, which is what we mean by eternity. So present moment awareness. Val once asked me a question, so how long does the present moment last? Well, the present moment doesn't last in a part. The present moment is that continuity of experience. So can't take your question right now, Robert. So if you have one, we'll go. So his memory was also transformed. Without constant digital interruption, his brain restored what they call the spatio-temporal loop, the circuits that bind memory to place. He could recall conversations from years ago with exact locations, smells, and the angles of light. Most adults have fragmented recall because the phone breaks the loop every few minutes, making life feel disconnected. Okay, so are you following again this sense of continuity in our experience? And when you begin to think about what PTSD does, PTSD binds memory to place too in a very powerful way, to lighting, to mood, to all those kind of things. When we shift into this particular mode, now we begin to bind glimmers in a way that we can't bind glimmers when we are in PTSD, if that makes any sense. So now I have a much richer experience in my memory, and my recall thing than I get if I'm taking pictures like this. I'm going to have no sense of the space that I'm in, no sense of the richness of the experience. I'll get an image, but that's about it. The most unsettling change was emotional. He regained pre-digital boredom tolerance. Most people panic at micro silence, but he could sit for 40 minutes watching shadows move. Psychologists fear the skill is extinct. Boredom is the state where insight, planning, and self-correction actually happen. So if you're wanting to get the benefits of meditation as a way of moving, as I said this past Saturday, from reactivity to response, we have to have this capacity to marinate, to create space around it for the reactivity to unfold. Those neurochemicals move out of our body and for us to settle back into that ventral state. It's also here where without it, people stay impulsive, reactive, and chronically overwhelmed. And then here's the kicker. He also recovered something researchers called slow threat calibration. And this is the ability to accurately assess how much danger you're in. So when you're under the influence of your fight or flight mechanism, it makes mountains out of molehills. It makes everyday events seem like life and death crises. We have to be able to take time to sit, to let all that stuff unwind before we can realistically look and say, I am not in danger right now, regain that sense of safety. So there are tremendous advantages to what we're doing in terms of learning to have and sit through these longer periods of time. So if you have any questions, save them and we will bring them up a little later on. So this is Rupert Spira on breathing emptiness into the body,
Pouring emptiness.
pouring emptiness into the body. So I'm going to let him take over. Fasten your seatbelt.
I'm going to get the volume adjusted as soon as we get it going.
Be knowingly this, aware, empty, openness, and whatever appears in your experience, whatever thought, feeling, bodily sensation, sight, sound, texture, etc. appears. See that it appears. See and feel that it appears in this openness. See and feel that whatever appears in this aware openness is a modulation of this aware openness. Just as waves are only a movement of water, so all thought, sensation, and perception is only a vibration of consciousness, a vibration of this aware openness. just as the only substance present in a wave is water, so the only substance present in experience is the knowing of it, the awareness of it, awareness itself. All experience is a modulation of our infinite, self-aware being. Now, although this is, I know, clear to many of us intellectually, and when I say intellectually, I don't mean that in a disparaging sense. I don't mean to imply that intellectual understanding is not based on real experience. It is. But at the same time, it takes time for our genuine experiential understanding to really permeate the entire realm of our experience. In particular, the way we feel the body and perceive the world. There's a story that some of you have heard before about the Zen master who was asked on his deathbed, "How is everything for you now?" And he said, "Everything is fine, but my body is having a hard time keeping up." This recognition that everything is fine, his understanding was clear. He knew from genuine experience that he was the open, empty sky of awareness. And all experience was like so many clouds floating in that empty sky. And yet at the same time, this acknowledgement that the way he felt his body still hadn't quite caught up with his genuine understanding. And for this reason, on these retreats, as the days go on, we begin to pay more and more attention to the experience of the body and the world. That is the way we feel the body and perceive the world. In an attempt to align the way we feel the body and perceive the world with our genuine understanding. Up until now, our exploration of experience has proceeded along very rational lines. A process that Atmananda Krishna Menon called higher reasoning. What he meant by higher reasoning was lines of reason that proceed directly from experience, rather than the lines of reasoning that are based on conceptual thought, based on beliefs rather than experience. But our feelings are not susceptible to rational thought. Feelings of being located in and as the body outlive enlightenment. Enlightenment, which is just the exotic name for the recognition of our ever-present, unlimited being, doesn't put an end to feelings in the body. Feelings of being a temporary, finite, located, separate self. And it is for this reason that there is so often a discrepancy between our genuine understanding and what we feel. Even after years of sincere spiritual practice, our behavior and reactions from time to time betray the presence of a separate self still lurking in the system, in spite of our profound and genuine understanding. So in recognition of this, some spiritual traditions have developed a series of non-rational explorations of the body. And these have been elaborated precisely for this reason, in order to align our felt understanding, our felt experience with our understanding. In the Vedantic tradition, this approach was not really elaborated. It was elaborated more in the Tantric traditions. In the Vedantic traditions, there was more emphasis placed on the returning to the source, self-inquiry, surrendering to God. More emphasis on the transcendental aspect of our true nature. But in the Tantric traditions, There was, as it were, as they say in Zen, a return to the marketplace. A return to objective experience, the way we feel the body, the way we perceive the world, in an attempt to allow our transcendental experience to permeate every aspect of our felt and lived experience. I refer to this approach as yoga meditation. And the reason I use that term is because I can't think of a better name for it. It is the original yoga, the essence of yoga, which means a way to experience the body in line with our understanding that I am infinite consciousness. What we know of as yoga today, mostly a stretching of the body, is a perversion of the original yoga. It is yoga that has been appropriated by the separate self in an attempt to make the separate self more supple and more agile and more beautiful and more youthful and healthier, etc. Nothing wrong with that, but it is a far cry from the essence of yoga, which is this attempt to permeate the body with the light of infinite consciousness. It's in the Christian tradition, it's called the transfiguration of the way we feel the body in line with our understanding. So don't expect me to be too rational when we are exploring this approach to the body. Go to the experience of the head. Make sure that you are referring only to your direct, current experience. You are a newborn infant. You have no knowledge of a past. You have no idea that you have been born as a body into the world. Your eyes are still closed. And suddenly, in the middle of this openness that you are, a vibration has appeared. A sensation has appeared which, in a few years' time, thought will label my head. But the sensation doesn't come with that label attached. It is just an unnameable sensation. Feel that this vibration is appearing in this empty, aware openness. You are the empty, aware openness in which this vibration is appearing. And this vibration seems to have a density to it, in contrast to the emptiness of the space all around it. Now visualize and then feel that at the top of this vibration there is a little opening at the top of the sensation called my head. And imagine that you take a bucket and you fill it full of the emptiness all around the sensation. And you begin to pour this emptiness into the hole at the top of the head. You pour very, very slowly. And this emptiness seeps into the sensation through this hole at the top. First visualize it, then drop the visualization and just feel it. Feel this emptiness pouring slowly. Like clear, viscous honey. Feel, it's all done with your feeling imagination. You feel that this emptiness seeps into the sensation. Dissolving the density that it comes in contact with. So feel that this emptiness seeps down from the top of the head to the region all around the eyes and behind the eyes. This is a region of the head which is rich in me feelings, a place where I, the seer, lives, just behind the eyes. Let the emptiness slowly seep into the density behind the eyes, saturating the density with its emptiness. Dissolving the density with its emptiness. Now let the emptiness slowly percolate into the middle of the sensation, the place where I, the thinker, lives, one of the main residences of the separate self. All that we actually find there in our experience is a vibration, a sensation. This sensation is just mimicking the presence of a separate self. Allow this emptiness to flush the separate self out of its hiding place in the center of the head. Allow the density there to be permeated and saturated by this emptiness. Feel that the emptiness trickles down through the sensation, through the density in the nose area where I, the one that smells, lives, permeating it with its emptiness. Feel that the back of the head is being filled up with emptiness. This emptiness seeps down into the mouth area. The place where I, the taster, lives. Feel that the head is filling up with emptiness. The emptiness begins to flow into the throat area. Another favorite residence of the separate self. The emptiness seeps into the back of the neck and slowly percolates into the shoulders. You have this sensation that emptiness is pouring into the body, saturating the body. It trickles down into the heart area. the main residence of the separate self. I, the feeler. I, the one that is lonely. I, the one that am hurt. I, the one that failed. I, the one that is unlovable. I, the one that is afraid. Go very slowly, take special care to allow this transparent emptiness to trickle gently into all these little places where these feelings reside. All these little vibrations or sensations that mimic the presence of a separate self. First visualize and then feel. The visualization is just an aid to feeling. The important thing is the feeling. First visualize, then feel that this emptiness colonizes the density of the sensation, permeates the density of the sensation as it goes, dissolving the density into itself. The whole heart area is filled up with emptiness, and the emptiness continues to flow downwards into the belly area, a place where those unnameable feelings reside. Feel that the density of the cavity of the belly area is progressively permeated and saturated with this liquid emptiness. Feel that this liquid emptiness continues to flow downwards and fill up the pelvic and genital area. Dissolving any tensions or residues there. Feel that this emptiness continues to flow down into the legs, filling up the hips and the thighs and the knees and the calves. Flowing into our feet and toes. Overflowing into our arms and elbows and wrists and hands. Feel that the body is full of emptiness. There are no thoughts in the body. There are no feelings in the body. There is no self in the body. It's just a gentle vibration pervaded by emptiness. And when you feel that the sensation is full of emptiness, the sensation of the body, the entire sensation of the body is full of emptiness, we begin to feel that the emptiness begins to seep out of the pores in the skin. You imagine the skin like a piece of muslin made mostly of empty holes. And this liquid emptiness begins to seep out in all directions over the entire surface of the skin. So this emptiness is pouring into the body and seeping out of it in all directions into the space, into the empty space all around. And as the emptiness pours through the body, dissolving the residues of separation, it takes these residues and it disperses them in the space all around the body. Like silt being carried by a river. This river of emptiness washes through the body. Dissolving residues of feeling and tension. Seeping through the surface of the skin, pouring out into the space all around. Emptiness on the inside, emptiness on the outside. All that remains of the so-called body is this transparent vibration, like a piece of muslin hanging on a washing line, undulating in the breeze. All that remains of a solid, dense body is this vibration, this quivering vibration, saturated in emptiness, pervaded by emptiness, floating weightlessly in emptiness. Now cease doing anything, just let experience be as it is. These yoga meditations are a little bit like the scales and arpeggios and studies that a musician practices. The benefits of them are not always immediately discernible. The benefits appear later on when we're playing music. In the same way, we may find that when we're talking with friends during a meal or walking in the countryside in the afternoons, that we suddenly find ourselves relieved of the feeling of being located in and as this dense, solid body, but that we are this vast openness in which the entire landscape is appearing and out of which the landscape is made. That is the experience of beauty. Everything appears in me. Everything is made of myself. when talking with a friend. During a meal, the same experience is felt as love. Thank you.
So begin to move your body in whatever way feels comfortable. Very gentle and slow. If your eyes are closed, let them begin to flutter open. So we'll just take a few moments, not a whole lot of time, for questions or comments. You want to go ahead and can you unmute everybody?
No, they'll have to do it themselves.
Okay.
I'd like to try it again. I intended on eating a light snack beforehand, and I did that plus some pie, and ended up taking a little nap during the meditation and waking back up and trying again. So I'd like to try it another day, and my body's a little more receptive to a longer meditation.
And it's realize that this is like anything else that we're talking about. You're building neural pathways. And so the more you practice, the more adept you're going to get at these kinds of skills. And so don't be discouraged by your first attempts at this. It'll be on our page now so that you can go back to it and get the experience. I wish that we, as you might have heard, had a number of emergency vehicles go by. We had someone on a motorcycle that took 2 passes by at a very high rate of speed, and I hope that that wasn't them that wiped out because we had a rainstorm in the middle of it. So a lot of drama. And Tin Roof, now of course, the rain stops.
Yeah.
And we're under an acorn tree, an oak tree, and so we had a number of acorn crescendos with the wind. So it was very exciting here.
If you want to look it up on your own, it is on YouTube, and it's called Pouring Emptiness into the Body, Rupert Spira.
So to explain to you, so you may remember some of these things from Yoga Nidra, that you have, you hear me talk about your brain as a receptor, as a radio tuner. And so in Yoga Nidras, what they'll do is say, let your body feel heavy. And you begin to tune in, you go, yeah, there's heaviness. And then said, now let it feel light. You go, oh yeah, there's light. Let it feel cool. And oh my God, there's cool. Oh my God, there's warmth. What's happening is that these sensations are always there. So the energy is going to follow where you direct your awareness. If you tune in and start dialing in that feeling of emptiness, you'll begin to experience those feelings of emptiness. What amazed me is I have chronic sinus problems. And during the meditation, my whole sinus area was actually empty, something I've very seldom experienced, but somehow my brain feel those sensations of emptiness despite all the congestion. So we're training our brains to dial in this experience. So you are creating your world. This is what we mean by it. Where you focus your attention is what you're going to experience. If you say focused on the negative, you're hardwiring negative into your body. That becomes what you're going to experience in life. So this is teaching us to, it's the denser sensations get our attention. They grab us, the pain, the cramping, the heaviness of a meal. Yeah, that's there. But there's also these other sensations that we can begin to explore, which lead us into a very qualitatively different experience of reality. So looking at the spaciousness around us, it's like the Gestalt thing. Is it a vase or is it two faces looking at each other? Is the stairway going up? Is the stairway going down? Well, both are happening. Both are happening. So when we look at it one way, I'm this separate self. Look at it the other way, I'm the universe. So we can begin to control the thing that we have control over is learning to dial in the tuner to these different experiences. So I don't know if that's helpful. Any other questions, comments? Yeah, Drew?
Drew?
Well, I found that I'd come out of the experience with thoughts.
Right,
I just wouldn't shut up.
right.
And rather than being upset about not shutting up, I just let it go. And I was back in the body. I was back in the emptiness again. But then the voice came again. So I have a lot of work to do
No,
to
no,
It's
no,
exactly the
no,
experience, I'm sure.
no, you don't have any work to do. The point is, so you have this emptiness, and fundamental to this is the idea that resistance creates density. Think about a wave. A wave just comes in, it's a particle. The particle hits resistance, and all of a sudden it starts vibrating. That's what it does when it hits resistance. So all that was happening, Drew, was you were experiencing the resistance of the body to the energy moving through, creating thought. Well, I can see that very clearly when I'm in that level of awareness, that level of emptiness. Whoa. So as it does that, if I can ease the resistance that I'm having to the thought moves. Okay. The more I resist the thought, the denser it becomes. So if it's not supposed to happen, it's that I'm observing the true nature of it as not being something other than space, than energy moving through emptiness. That's all any of our experience is. Energy moving through emptiness, hitting resistance, vibrating, and then the vibration as it moves through begins to dissipate again. So when John Lennon says there's nothing to kill or die for, all these attachments, all these significance that we want to attach to that process are not real. They're all creations of the mind. You boil it down to its fundamental thing, it's just energy and resistance and emptiness. That's all there is out there. Now, the ego, the separate self, prefers this kind of energy over here, and its resistance is to this over here. And that's where all the suffering begins. That's when we begin to cling to or avoid our experiences. But beginning to experience the sense of self as spaciousness and vibrational energy. How many were able to notice, even though he didn't talk about it, as the feeling of emptiness moved through the body and you're able to get some sense what was left after that? Okay? Because I guarantee you it wasn't empty. Okay? Anybody get even a
Huh.
taste of that with this meditation?
Yeah, well, yeah, that's I've experienced that before. Like once some emptiness, once things start to settle, there's a lot going on. I mean, there's a whole lot going, there's my mind doesn't want to pay attention to it, but yeah, there's always a lot going on. Yeah.
So that's not what I'm talking about.
Um,
I'm talking about even when the emptiness is there, not got a lot of thought, a lot of sensation going on, disturbing it. What's left?
Bart,
Yep.
I was feeling it in the beginning, and then I don't know which came first, but I thought I felt like I was being hypnotized. Is that any
Okay.
different? What is that about?
Okay. The feeling of hypnosis is a kind of a realization of the fact that most of our waking states are hypnotic. Um, so we begin to go through various kind of feelings of being trancy, of not being totally there. What I point you to is what gets left in there is a field of vibrational energy. You begin to experience your body as alive with
Hmm.
Yeah.
energy. So it's not a void, it's a void full of vibrant energy. And so when he begins to talk about that feeling of softening and being the cheesecloth, what you begin to feel after the hardness begins to dissipate and all that softens and becomes a lot more less dense, you begin to feel the energy radiating out of your body, but also a radiant energy coming in with the feeling of emptiness. So that
Yeah.
you're filled with energy and the energy is flowing out. And this feeling of aliveness in the midst of the emptiness. So, yes, Tom.
Unlike Drew's experience, with me, usually my mind is always racing on things, you know. And in this meditation, this was really unique for me. My mind went totally quiet.
Yeah.
And I mean, it stayed quiet the entire time. It's amazing. That almost never happens with me.
Right. Well, then what I'd encourage you to do is to begin to, as Linnell was saying, pick this meditation and begin to use it regularly. Different teachers and different forms of meditation will get you there. And if this one works, put that in your toolkit and make that a regular thing to do.
Yeah, except I need the sirens, I think, and
I,
stuff. And
yeah,
Well,
go
give it
find it on YouTube yourself.
a and sirens and
Yeah,
all the drama. So,
it kept us alert and awake.
yeah, and then of course Nandi barking.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
he thought that the sounds meant someone was coming in
The
the
wind, yeah.
I have
coming.
a question when there's a moment. Um, Tracy and I, two musical partners who we have spiritual minded practice in addition to simply musical minded practice with guitars, bass, keyboard, and singing bowls.
Still showing
And
dinner.
yeah, so last session we were alternating between singing bowl drones and music from our guitars to experiment with the flow, melody, and energy.
Right.
So, because of today's meditation, I've begun to realize we should take our singing bowls to a field,
I don't
a
see the
park nearby,
dead sign anymore, but
and use and triangulate probably singing bowls and begin with a tight group so that we can hear each other sounding each of these instruments, and then move farther apart, and experiment with the energy that we derive from this pleasant, perhaps trivial, but still an exploration, and If you have any reflection on it,
No,
thank you. If not, it's okay too.
yep, yep. And of course, music emerges out of silence. Without the silence, there's no music. Uh, and that's exactly what the phrase without emptiness, emptiness is form, form is emptiness. These two things emerge simultaneously. They can't be separated. Okay. And that's part of what you're going to discover. So out of
Thank,
the vibrational energy forms, the vibrational energy resolves back into the emptiness. It's same process, just different aspects, just different gestalt flips.
thank you.
Okay? So yeah, experimenting with that is fun. The question, Robert, becomes one of, you know, and this is Soren Kierkegaard. If I can have exactly that same experiment, and on the one hand, it can be an aesthetic experience, or I begin to explore that as being a more fundamental experience of the true nature of reality. He says the one is I don't go all the way to realizing the implications of what I'm experiencing. So
Mhm.
I could go out and have a pleasant experience with vibrational energy and the impact of environment, the impact of distance on um, uh, how I experience that vibrational energy. Or
Mhm.
I begin to say, what does this tell me about the nature of reality?
Mhm.
And so, so many of the people who are spiritual, you'll begin to notice that they have certain characteristics in common. Uh, how many of you enjoy music and have love music? How many of you enjoy cooking, interestingly enough? Because cooking is another expression of vibrational energy and feeding the senses. So this is not something different. When Linnell and I first met, she says, I don't experience energy the way you talk about it. So what is my uh, I don't know that I can get hooked into spirituality. And do you remember that was outside in Costa Rica, we're sitting on a ledge at night. And I said, your experience, and he touched on it here, you hear him say, is beauty. That it's one of the ways that we experience this vibrational energy. So keep playing with it and find one that hooks you up. If music is something that awakens you to that, then begin to follow the music out into the silence. And you've heard me say that. Listen to the gong. At what point does the gong become silent? It never becomes silent. It's always ringing. And so, in the same way, we're always vibrating. Rumi's saying, "I'm the flute. God's the breath." I'm being sounded. I'm the bowl being sounded by life. Can I really experience the reality of that? That here I am. The more I get out of ego and attending to the heavier sensations, can I begin to feel myself resonating with the breath of life? Something very
Thank,
different.
thank you. I appreciate your reflection upon it. We also have two gongs
Yeah,
and and mallets, soft mallets.
yeah.
So maybe one day I'll have a little edited bit of video of our experiments with it because I'm kind of excited about that, delving into something beyond folk music as we ordinarily appreciate it. Thank you.
Okay. Anybody else before we go? Don't want to keep you from dinner. This has been good. So, um, we'll, if you're up for it, we'll try a different one next week, possibly one by Adi Shanti, who does some of these same kinds of explorations. So, I'll let you know about that. Also, to put in a plug that we are going to explore with this time, see if people can make it and maybe replace it with a book study group on Soul Without Shame, a book by Byron Brown that is excellent in terms of learning
I'm gonna
about,
write it down.
and
Roll without shame.
it's something we used to do at this time in Shreveport regularly, which was book discussion, a little more interactive than the meditation group. So think about that, and I appreciate your coming. And we will see you next Saturday, hopefully, and maybe next Sunday as well. And Happy New Year, and grateful for all of you.
Thank y'all.
Thank you.
Thank you, Bart.
Thank you,
Thank you,
Bart.
And
Linnell.
everybody. It
Sure.
was a nice share.
Yeah, it was. Bye, Sherry.
Thank you.
Bye. Bye, y'all.
Thank you.
Love y'all.
Love you.
Love you too,
Love
Bart
you
and
too.
Linnell.
Yes.
Thank y'all so
Great
much.
week.